Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
You know that feeling, right? That sudden, overwhelming wave of anxiety that just hits you, and you're left wondering what's going on. Well, today we're going to dive into a really surprising connection, the link between the food on your plate and the calm in your mind. Yeah, we're talking all about the science of nutrition and how it might just play a huge role in managing anxiety. So let's start with a really powerful thought. What if one of the keys to calming that anxiety isn't just something you get from a pharmacy, but could actually be found right in your own diet? I mean, in your kitchen. That is the exact question we're going to be digging into today. Okay, so before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page here. When we talk about an anxiety attack, what do we mean? Well, it's this sudden, intense rush of fear, and it's so physical, right? Your heart starts pounding, maybe you're sweating or trembling. And on top of that, there's this overwhelming mental feeling of just losing control. It is a very, very real and honestly a pretty terrifying experience for anyone who goes through it. All right, so with that intense experience in mind, let's introduce a potential ally, and that is vitamin B6. You might have also heard it called pyridoxine. Believe it or not, this little vitamin is becoming a huge focus in the science of mental wellness. So what exactly is it? Well, vitamin B6 is a water-soluble vitamin. Now, what that means is your body doesn't really store it up for later, so you need to get it pretty regularly through your diet. And here's why it's so important for what we're talking about today. It is an absolutely crucial building block for the brain chemicals, the neurotransmitters that literally control your mood. And which brain chemicals are we talking about? Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Vitamin B6 is essential for making something called GABA. Now think of GABA as the brake pedal for your brain. It's the chemical that tells your nervous system, hey, slow down, calm down. But that's not all. It also helps produce serotonin and dopamine. You've probably heard of them. They're our famous feel-good chemicals. All right, so how does a simple vitamin actually translate into a feeling of calm? It seems kind of crazy, right? Well, let's follow the science. The pathway is actually surprisingly direct. So here's the play-by-play. It all starts when you get vitamin B6 into your system, either from food or a supplement. That B6 then acts like the raw material your brain needs to ramp up production of those calming neurotransmitters, especially GABA. So as the levels of GABA, serotonin, and dopamine go up, it's like it's turning down the volume on your nervous system's alarm bells. And the result? A calming effect. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this just a nice theory? Nope. The research is really starting to back this up. For example, one study found that when people took high doses of vitamin B6, they reported some really significant improvements in their anxiety levels compared to a group just taking a placebo. That's a real measurable difference. And what's really crucial here is that the evidence seems to work both ways. It's not just that adding B6 might help. Researchers are also finding a correlation, a link, where people who have lower levels of vitamin B6 in their diet often report higher levels of anxiety. This really strengthens that connection between this one little vitamin and our overall mental state. Of course, it's really important to say that vitamin B6 isn't working in a vacuum here. It's part of a much bigger picture, a whole ecosystem of nutrients that all work together to support our mental health. So let's zoom out a bit and take a look at some of the other key players on the team. This is a great way to see how it all fits together. You've got our star of the show, vitamin B6, right there at the top, boosting those calming brain chemicals. But then look at vitamin D. Super interesting. Low levels of vitamin D are consistently associated with anxiety. And a general B complex? Well, that's like a support crew for your entire nervous system, helping your body handle stress more effectively overall. And hey, it's not just about vitamins. You've probably heard of some of these other popular supplements. Magnesium, for example, is often called B6's best friend because they work so well together for a calming effect. Then you have things like omega-3s and ashwagandha. The key with all of these is to see them as part of a bigger, more holistic approach, not just some magic standalone cure. Okay, let's pause for a second. This next section is incredibly important. Seriously, we've talked about all the potential good stuff, but now we absolutely have to talk about how to do this safely. This part is completely non-negotiable. And I really want this message to sink in. When it comes to supplements, more is not always better. In fact, it can be the opposite. This isn't about megadosing. It's about finding the right balance because going over the recommended amount can cause real, actual harm. So let's be super specific about the risks. With vitamin B6, for example, taking really high doses over a long period of time can actually cause nerve damage. That is a serious, serious side effect. You also have to remember that supplements can interact with prescription medications you might be taking. And honestly, for some of the trendier supplements out there, the scientific evidence just isn't that strong yet. The bottom line, you have to be smart and informed about this. And this brings us to what is, without a doubt, the single most important takeaway of this entire explainer. Please, before you start any new supplement, talk to your doctor, talk to a healthcare provider. They're the only ones who can look at your personal health situation and give you advice that's right and safe for you. So we end up right back where we started, with a big question to think about. As science continues to uncover this incredibly intricate link between our bodies and our minds, could it be that really understanding our nutrition is one of the most powerful keys we have to unlock better mental health? It's a pretty compelling thought, isn't it? Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.